girl? That's good. That's good. Okay, now that I have you. Isn't that conversation so good? Aren't you ready to take it to the next level? If you're here and you've been binging all my YouTube episodes and you are ready to buy your first or next investment property, but you just don't know where to start, you just need help to figure out what exactly do I need to do based on my specific situation to figure out how to get to the next level. If that is you, I invite you, along with all of my mentees, to join us in my Pathway to Purchase Your First or Next Investment Property program. This program is so amazing. This is how you are actually able to work with me directly. Here's the beautiful part about this program. You pay one time and that's it. It comes with lifetime access. Everybody repeat, lifetime access. There is no renewal fees, no annual fees. You get access directly from coaching from me. Every 2 weeks, you're going to be able to chat with me, figure out what your specific situation is. I'm going to be able to help you overcome it. Plus, you have access to over 50 on-demand trainings that's going to walk you through everything. If you're just now learning about what all this real estate stuff means to I want to actually scale and buy my next multifamily property. It's going to teach you everything in between. And here's the best part. With the 50 plus on-demand courses, you aren't just learning from me. You're learning from the best and the best in the industry as well. You're learning from Dr. Joe about property management. You're learning from Dominique about out-of-state investing. You're learning from my top contractors on how to work with contractors. This program is so amazing. I even include checklists and SOPs and downloads. So if you buy a property and you have a tenant and you don't know what to do, guess what? There's a checklist for that. You're getting ready to do a renovation and you need a contractor agreement, guess what? There's a contractor agreement with that. I'm able to basically just provide everything for you. Why start from scratch when you have access to a program that is done for you? You have the support you need and you have the community. I want you to join me in the Pathway to Purchase Your First or Next Investment Property program. And guess what? Because you listen to this podcast, I'm going to give you a little discount. If you go to the link in the bio or onlylivingit.com and you enroll today and hit P2P 500, I'm going to give you $500 off. Yes! I look forward to seeing you on the next call. Come join me. I think that that's just a sign of allowing your business to work for you, not the other way around. This is what we do here on Wealth Within Reach. We do this to show you a different perspective. A person's wealth is determined by their assets, investments, and things that they own. I say true wealth is about how you live it. Your girl is back. Welcome to Wealth Within Reach. Welcome back to another episode of Wealth Within Reach. And today is a fun one for you guys. I have my friend Kat here. Welcome, Kat.
Hi, Erica. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here. Kat is a full-time real estate investor, former CPA who used her skills as a CPA to help her transition from her 9-to-5 to being a full-time real estate investor. So for those of you here who you're in the corporate world and you desire to eventually retire yourself from your corporate job and you don't necessarily maybe want to start a real estate business, but you do want to invest in real estate and you want to start a business doing something else, this episode is for you because Kat made the transition and she's going to walk us through it today. Welcome.
Thank you.
CPA.
Yep.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I officially made my license inactive this year.
Wow. That's a big deal.
Yeah.
Wow, that's huge. Okay, so when I hear CPA, I think about bookkeeping. And I don't know about you and the clients that you work with. It's something about this idea of bookkeeping, whether it's a brand new investor, first property, they don't even really think that they're an investor. They're just like, I just got a couple rentals. Or someone who has 10 properties. People's bookkeeping be trash.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is that just my experience or yours too?
Inexistent, actually. It's not even trash.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
It's true. Like, what books? I got my bank account. I see money there.
What are some signs how you know someone doesn't do bookkeeping?
You ask them how much money they make and they're like, wow, My rent is this and my mortgage is this. And I'm like, what about the rest of the stuff? I don't know. That's like my dad's answer. And so I know, I do my dad's book. So
yes, that's about right.
Yeah.
That's about right. A part of my mastermind, or really all of my programs, when I get ready to meet with a client, especially if they're an existing investor, I don't want to spend my time like running through their books like together. Like I want to make the most of our time. When we're together, I want to be talking strategy, financing. So I want them to come to me already having those numbers, ready. So I'm like, okay, bring me your profit and loss statement and then fill out this cash flow tracker. And they're like, wait, what? And I'm like, okay, we got to get you a bookkeeper. Let's start there.
Yeah.
So yeah. Why is that important? Like, why is it important for investors, whether you have one property or 10, to be able to have good bookkeeping?
Well, because you need to really know if you're making money or not. Because when you buy a property, you're like, you do, your pro forma, and you're like, this is how much, 5% for maintenance, 5% for this, 5% for that.
Right.
And then in reality, you need to really know what is it.
Yeah.
Because what happens is most of the time when I started, I'm like, oh, it's going to be 10% for maintenance and repairs. And when you actually look at it, it's like 15, sometimes 20. And you're like, okay, what happened?
Yes.
And there's so many hidden costs in investing. Like if you have an LLC, like there's the cost of the LLC, there's like the taxes, there's the education, all these different things. And you want to know like, where is my money going?
Yep.
Are your utilities bills being like, are they consistent? Do you have leaks?
Yes.
Did you forget to disconnect the bill from a tenant? And so there's all these things that you're having good books will give you. If you're not looking constantly, you might find out that your property's not making money. And so you put all this money in, because a lot of times, like a lot of investors tells me like, I keep putting money in the business. But where's my money going? Mm-hmm. And so the money is probably going to repairs and maintenance or something like that. And so it's really important to know. Also keeping a tab on like, ideally your property should be improving every year in performance instead of going down. And what I've noticed, a lot of investors will kind of like forget about the books. They realize, oh, okay, last year I made this much money, and then this year I made half of that. And so it's like, why? Yeah. And if you have good books and records and you're reviewing constantly, you can catch that.
Yes, beforehand. Yeah, not waiting until tax time.
Yes, exactly. Because at that point, it's like, okay, what did I do?
Yes.
Maybe you need to fire a property manager.
Yes.
Maybe you
Most
need
times,
to.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure. Because like sometimes you're like, oh, I only get a little bit, and then you find out it's like they spent, $5,000 in something that could have cost you half the price.
Yes, absolutely. I was talking with a client, and one time they hadn't been looking at their bookkeeping every month, and it was like 6 months that went by. Actually, it was like a whole year that went by, and they were preparing for their taxes, and they finally looked at their books, and they realized that when you're leasing a property, you have to put the utilities in your name. And then once the property that is tenanted, the tenant is supposed to switch it over to their name. And I guess their property manager was supposed to follow that process. Well, guess what? The utilities did not get switched over to the tenant's name. So they had still been paying utilities for the entire year when they weren't supposed to. And you think the tenant's going to say something?
Nope.
No. And so that was 50% of their profit for their cash flow because they missed it from a bookkeeping standpoint.
And that's happened to me, and I'm not perfect because sometimes I get so busy and I don't look at the books. Yeah. And I caught it on time, but it has happened. So now I'm like really diligent in making sure that I look at it on a constant, because that's like the easiest mistake that can happen, especially when you have multiple units. So much, so easy. And what's like benefits to someone actually keeping up with their books? What are some benefits that you've experienced? I can share mine as well, but some benefits that you've experienced from actually having good books and knowing where being able to follow the story and knowing where your money is going. So one of the best things for me has been getting lending, like private lenders. People trust me, right? They know that Kat's not going to have her books messed up. And so they trust that I know that I have enough money to borrow extra money, right?
That's good.
The lenders, they love the books, and they've being really flexible, giving me like programs that they usually don't give to every investor.
Mm-hmm.
And it's because they look at it and they're like, oh, they look great.
Yes.
Right. I have everything detailed out. Everything's great.
Categorized.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then on a investor, like knowing what you're doing has really helped me invest better. Like
Yes.
what kind of properties to invest. Like these properties are not as well. What is wrong with these properties versus this? Because I have multiple portfolios, right?
Yes.
And so I'm like, okay, Augusta's doing this. Macon's doing this. Columbus is doing this. And so
Yeah.
evaluate. So right now, I'm exiting the market.
Mm-hmm.
And it's because I looked at my numbers and I said, this portfolio is not doing us great. This is going to go.
Yeah. No, same here. Like I invest primarily in the same place, but I have different types of properties. I have single family, I have multifamily, I have even single family conversions. And so being able to have accurate books, know exactly where my money is going. And it took a while too. I remember I had a couple of bookkeepers where it wasn't as specific enough. It still left me with a lot of questions. And what that told me is like, oh, actually, I need this to be more specific. So I had to switch. I think I went through like 4 bookkeepers until I got the one that I have now through my CFO. But finally, when I'm able to get the data that drove my decision to say, wow, this type of property, which is significantly less in purchase price than this one, actually makes more cash flow at the end of the day than any of them. So let me continue to invest like this versus just like, oh, well, so yeah, this makes the most money. So as far as gross, this brings in the most income. So surely it's making the most money. And that's not always the case.
Correct.
Yeah.
And having like you say, the details really good, like knowing what's going to plumbing, what's going to electrical. Because that way you can identify like what kind of issues you're having.
Yeah.
And maybe this is a matter of like, okay, I need to just redo the whole plumbing system so that I can eliminate that problem. Yeah. Or just get rid of the property altogether.
Yeah, exactly. Sometimes that's the case too. No, that's really good. And even also I've been able to take advantage of tax incentives as well.
Yep.
You want to talk about that?
Yes, definitely. So like if you know your books, especially like if you're doing like CapEx repairs and stuff like that, we're talking bonus depreciation, stuff like that. So doing, knowing your financial position, how much money am I going to make at the end of the year, right? Yes. And so if you're going to make too much money in that year, being able to talk to your tax advisor and be like, hey, what can I do? Yes. But your tax advisor is not going to talk to you unless you have books because they have nothing to go over. Yes. Knowing that has really helped me like strategize. Like last year, I got a huge refund. Yeah. And that was because we were like, okay, we are here. This is how much we're going to make. What are the things that we can do? So I bought a car, fully depreciated car. We had a house that we bought. We did a cost segregation study. Yeah. And then we were able to take advantage of depreciation for that. And so we just got, a refund of pretty much everything we paid in taxes for my husband's W-2 job.
I love that. That's amazing. I have a client. So you guys, it sounds like you took advantage of real estate professional status. Correct. With you being in, managing the real estate hours. You have to have at least 750 hours. And then your husband still having a W-2 income. Because you are managing the real estate portfolio, you're able to take advantage of that status, and then you're able to get basically all his taxes paid back. I have a client who is a single mom, but she's also, and she works a W-2 income, and she was able to take advantage of doing a cost segregation study. So because she has good books, she invested in a mentorship and learned about cost segregation study, learned about the value of bookkeeping, and she did a really thorough renovation on a multifamily property. She is getting like $60,000 back in taxes.
It's so crazy.
That will basically be her down payment for her next property. Yep. Which is phenomenal. And people don't be knowing that. And I'm just like, this is why you should manage your books, whether you have 1 property or 10.
Yes, because especially for like the bonus depreciation stuff, you need to know like the line item. You need to go as like, this is flooring, this is plumbing, this is electrical, because you're able
not just repairs.
Correct, because there's some items that can be depreciated faster than others. And so that is really important.
That's so good. I love that. I feel like this is a intermediate to higher level conversation. So if you're here and you're newbie and you're like, what's depreciation? What's this? What's that? There's some knowledge that you need to learn that can help you to be able to take advantage of these opportunities. And the Owning and Living Community is here for you.
Yes.
The part of my like mentorship program, I actually have, it's called a Real Estate 101. And I list out like 200 definitions. What is depreciation? What is this? What is that? And we tell you exactly what it is, because we don't want you to miss out like money. Literally, you're missing out on money that can help you to invest. Because the number one reason why people say they don't invest is because they don't have money.
Yep.
But they do. They just don't know where it is.
Right.
Okay, so now, interesting. Thank you for that. I hope that y'all understand that bookkeeping is important. Okay, I want to start meeting people who have good bookkeeping,
or at least want to get better at bookkeeping.
Yes, it's want and desire. It's the value of it. But okay, CPA. I love this. So, talk to me about, before you got into real estate investing, what made you want to be a CPA? You know, how long were you doing it?
So, funny enough, I never wanted to be a CPA. I did not know what a CPA was until like my last year of college. I took a class, and there was these people in a group that I had, and they were like, I'm going to become a CPA. And I'm like, oh, what is that? You know, I grew up in Colombia, so, you know, terminology there is different. And they were basically telling me that a CPA is a glorified accountant, right? So I was like, okay, interesting. I graduated college. I had my major was international business.
Okay.
And so I go to a job fair, and I'm trying to figure out like, okay, what am I going to do?
Yeah.
And so I start getting jobs, like offerings and whatever. And they're terrible. They're like, you know, they're paying $30,000 a year.
Yeah.
And
You're
I was like,
I just went to college.
Yes. I'm like, and I'm actually working at that point in time, I was working as a property manager, and that's how much I was making. I'm like, so I went to college so that I could make the same amount of money. That's great. So I started looking into this accountant stuff, because the guy was telling me like, would you start off at 50,000 and then every year you go up? And I'm like, that sounds like a better gig.
Yes. Because this ain't working.
Yes. So I went back to school.
Okay.
And I took the classes that I needed to become a CPA. You don't have to have a bachelor, like a master's in accounting. You just need like certain classes. Yeah. So I went back and I took those classes, and I started studying for the CPA exam. Okay. And I just kind of did that. Got an offer with a big accounting firm. Went to work public accounting. Okay. And at the same time, because I had a background in property management, my clients were all real estate clients.
Cool. I love it.
And
the Lord, like, creating these experiences for you. I love it.
Yeah. And so I created this like 10-year plan on how I was going to use my CPA license to become a real estate investor.
Okay. Love it.
And it was way too complicated. Honestly, it's a lot easier than that. But so become a CPA, and I did that for 2 years in public accounting. Got taken out to go back to property management. But then I went back into accounting because it paid more.
Yeah, for sure.
And at that point in time, I was like, I need to get out of like the W. Like I was like, I'm not happy. I hate corporate.
Describe to me, what are some things that were happening that made you feel like I got to get out of here?
I started having like a midlife crisis, call it. You know, I was 27, had zero savings. My husband actually had a 401k, all these things. I was terrible at saving. Yeah. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to turn 30 pretty soon. And like, what's going to happen? And what do I have? I have nothing. I have so much debt, student loans, credit card debt, all these terrible decisions I've made throughout the years. I need to do something. And what is that going to be? Yeah. And so I started thinking like, okay, I want to invest in real estate at some point, but I have no idea like how I can do that, because all I knew was like rich people were the ones that own real estate. And so I was like, I'm going to start a side hustle. Yeah. And I'm like, okay, what can I do? Yeah. And I was like, well, everybody that knows me and they look at me and they're like, oh, you're a CPA, you must do taxes. Yeah. So I was like, let me embrace it. Let me do taxes. Yes. And so I started like getting into that, and I opened a side hustle for taxes. And I was like, I'm going to use this to save money so that then I can invest in real estate. And then maybe this is going to get me out of the corporate world. Because I was working like a lot of hours. Yeah. I just didn't feel fulfilled. I was like, I did all this work and I just don't feel like I'm getting anywhere.
So I like that, where you're saying, especially how you're helping us to see your salary. We're following your salary. You went from 30,000 as a property manager, and then you heard that CPAs make more money. So then you went to become a CPA, which 50, 60,000 ish you're at. So you started making more money, but you look up, you still don't have a savings. If you're looking ahead, you went back and got the credentials and it didn't solve the problem. And so you made more money and it didn't solve the problem. So you're a CPA, so your numbers. So if I just continue on making this amount of money and I have this debt, it actually isn't going to help me.
Yes, it took a lot of mindset
Yeah.
shift, right? Because what happened is I started making more money.
Yeah.
I started spending more money because I didn't fix that mindset. And so during my little mental breakdown, I started reading more about like financial things that I needed to do.
What were you reading?
So I started reading a lot of like the FIRE, like it's called FIRE movement stuff. So like retire early.
Yep.
I read Coach Carson's like book on like retire with real estate.
I read that one too. That's good.
What's it called? There's that investor book with Collins. He writes a book, letters to his daughter about like how to invest on the stock market. So just like a lot of books on financial literacy. I read the Rich Dad Poor Dad, of course.
Yep.
And
classic.
Yep. And so I started like shifting my mindset because I was still making more money. Like when I actually opened up the company and I started like investing in real estate, I was already making $90,000. Okay. And still wasn't enough. I still have debt. I still, I pay for a poop pickup service. That's like the kind of mentality I was. So I had to like realign that, shift back.
Yeah.
And then once we did that and I got into the side hustle, started saving money, started paying out the debt. Yeah. I finally felt like, okay, I can take the leap and actually start investing.
I love it. Okay. So you use your side hustle money to help you get into a financial stable place.
Yes.
And then you got your first deal?
Yes. So I got my first deal.
What was your first deal?
It was 3 duplexes.
Wait. Your first deal was 3 duplexes.
Yeah. So it was with the help of my dad. So we kind of structured I had read a lot of books over the years because, back when I started the CPA life, I started like this plan about investing in real estate and I just started reading all these books, following all these podcasts. So I had the knowledge in the back of my head, but I didn't know how to apply it. Yeah. So once I felt ready, I started looking. Okay. And we were looking for a duplex and the idea was that my dad was going to live in one side and then we would just rent out the other and we would put the 3.5 down. Okay. And that was going to be the how we started. And then
that was the plan.
We would do that again. And then we found 3 duplexes back to back, right? And in one street. Yeah. And they were like labeled as 1-1s. And then when you go inside, there were 2-1s.
Wow. I love those. I love the bad marketing.
Yes. Right. And so I was like, I have to have these. Like I want these so bad. Yeah. And so we were like, okay, we're still going to do the one with my dad living in it. Now, how do I figure out these other 2? Yes. Because we had a good salary and I had gotten out of debt for the bad debt. So we were able to get a personal loan for the down payment. Okay. And then like a hard money lender for the remainder. And we got all 3 of them. And they were supposed to be burst because they needed to be fixed up. And so that's how we got started. It was like a very boldy move, of course, scary.
Would you do anything differently?
I always think about it and I was like, if I had to do it all over again, I'll do it all over again.
Yeah, I love it.
Because I was at a point in time where it was like, if I don't do this now.
Yeah, you needed to get out there and do it.
Yeah. And I had the side hustle. So I was literally doing taxes outside while my dad and my husband were like hammering things inside.
Hold on, wait. Did I see you at the Owning and Living Experience last year? You didn't come? Let me show you what it was all about. There is nothing else like this. This is the only real estate experience that's made for us. Yeah, you and me. And not just you and me, brown people, faith-driven people. I mean, not only was it an experience, but they learned tangible advice. Plus, we had an amazing time. And guess what? I don't want you to experience any more FOMO. I want you to be there in the building this year. And I'm about to drop all the details for the Owning and Living Experience 2025, and you will not want to miss this. Plus, I am gonna offer an exclusive sweet discount for the early bird folks who grab their tickets. So if you don't want to miss out this year, and if you want to take advantage of a very, very good bonus, I'm going to need you to do this right now. I'm going to need you to go to the episode show notes today, right now. Join the wait list so that you don't miss out when tickets drop. I got it? Let's do it now. Now let's head back to the episode. I love a few things. You weren't content with just living with the minimum. That's one. You weren't content with just, making $50,000 and just barely getting by and not having the savings. You wanted more for yourself. That is where I feel like was great. Because I can easily just see your story on paper and say, okay, she went from CPA to buying a duplex, but you could easily miss the in-between. You took the moment to educate yourself, to get the financial literacy. And then also through that, you were able to change your mindset, which helped you to be able to make the leap.
Yes. Because
that's huge.
Yeah. A lot of people think like, oh, you're a CPA, so you knew how to do this. And
Yes.
It's like when you go to school for accounting, they don't educate you on budgeting. They don't educate you on investing.
Wow.
That's really not it. It's really how do you do numbers, like plus how to do a balance sheet, how to do a profit and loss, how to do these things. But they don't really teach you like what you need.
Yes.
Because they're teaching you go to corporate and, be in corporate your entire life. And that's kind of really what they teach you.
Mm-hmm.
So it didn't really help me invest.
Yeah.
I was still stuck, right? For 4 years of me thinking I'm going to invest in real estate. So really.
Wow. 4 years.
Yeah, pretty much. And then what I did is I focused on increasing my W-2 income. Mm-hmm. And then also increasing the side hustle income to get there.
That's good.
It took a lot of patience.
Yes. And persistence.
Yes.
Did you know anyone else that was investing in real estate?
I did not.
Wow.
No. And back in the day, like I wasn't really into Instagram.
Yeah.
I did attend like those RIA meetings, but in Florida, they were not that great. It was like the older white man.
Yeah.
That
and they were like, who's this young girl coming in here? Yeah.
Yeah. They told me I had made a terrible mistake buying those duplexes and I was going to, bankrupt pretty much.
Wow.
So,
and then what if you would have listened to them?
I know.
Wow. Okay. So how did the 3 duplexes turn out?
They turned out pretty good. We actually sold them during COVID time because, prices went crazy. Yeah. And one of the things we did when COVID happened, because even though we were okay financially, I was still over leveraged. Like we took a loan.
Yeah.
100% of the debt. And so I was freaking out during COVID. I'm like, what if I lose my job?
Yeah.
And that was one of the things that pushed me to really continue investing in real estate. Mm-hmm. So we moved to Georgia.
Okay.
To cut our
expenses. From Florida.
Yes.
Yep.
Because South Florida was crazy expensive. Yeah. And when we moved here, we were like, okay, we're going to sell those duplexes in Florida. And we cashed out pretty good amount of money. And then we used that to invest here
in more affordable markets.
Yep. In Macon.
I love that. That's so good.
Yeah.
So, okay. So let's talk more about the transition. So you're beginning to invest in real estate. You are still working. You have the side hustle. Talk to me about when did you know, okay, it's time for me to leave this corporate job? What was happening and how did you do it?
So we moved to Georgia in 2020, right, during COVID. And I quit in 2022, June. Okay. So it was a 2-year time frame. At that point in time, I was still busting my ass.
Yeah, go ahead. Say it.
Working, the W-2 job, trying to make more money so that I could quit faster, right?
Yeah.
So, but I was working crazy hours. It was, all the way through nighttime, weekends, whatever. Yeah. And I was just not happy. And I was still doing the real estate. I had been going through infertility since 2020. And I really needed to figure out a way to get out so I can focus on the infertility journey.
Yeah.
And I was miserable. Yeah. At the work job, I was miserable not being able to have the baby. Yeah. And I was like, let's figure out how we can do this, right? Yeah. And I started looking at our portfolio. Can we afford for me not to work? Yeah. And so we started planning it out. Initially, I was thinking my husband would quit because I had the better job. Yeah. But I was like, I don't think that's going to work because I want to have the baby and we're going to have to go through IVF. Yeah. And I had read online about stress is not great for IVF. All these things are not great for IVF. Yeah. So what really went into my mind at that point in time is I think that I could go all in on real estate.
Yeah.
At the same time, go all in on IVF.
Yeah. That's good. I love that.
And so I planned it out. I went to a conference.
Okay.
And I was telling people like where I was at, and they were like, I think you should. I think you're in a good place to quit. And I was like, I don't know. Felipe, right?
Yeah.
Felipe was actually the one that was like,
I love that.
He's like, I think you should do it.
Yeah.
I think you can do it. And so I came home the weekend after the conference, and I gave notice.
Wow.
And I was like, I'm going through IVF. I'm going to do this. Yeah. And so I gave a 3-month notice, and I quit in June. But I didn't really like completely quit. I kind of like transitioned. I offered them to stay as a consultant.
Okay.
And then I started doing more consulting on like leveraging like my accounting skills. And I started like offering like consulting services to investors that wanted to figure out how to set up their books.
I love that.
And so I used that a little bit. So I had that income coming in while I focused on the real estate and the IVF journey.
I love that so much. I love that, one, you got a moment to stop and figure out what is important to me right now in this season. And what's important to me is that I want to take advantage. I want to be able to focus on my infertility journey, IVF. And I just love how you were able to kind of like pause and analyze, where you were. Also, I love how creating financial options gave you the opportunity to pause. Because before, when you were just like working all the time in the rat race, did you even think about, like, could you pause and think about this?
No, I mean, it wouldn't have even been possible. There's no way I would have been able to quit my job had I not like started investing in real estate. Because
you're just like in the cycle of survival. Like I remember vividly what that's like when, have 9 to 5, it really wasn't even a 9 to 5. It was like a 6 to 7.
Yeah.
A 6 to 7, 3 kids, and like see your husband for a second and then you just go. It's something about starting now, begin investing, in those, one deal at a time or whatever. It's a lot of value. It creating a little bit of that financial cushion. That cushion, which may not feel like a lot at first, provides you the opportunity to breathe, to check in with yourself, to see what is happening in my life, what is important. This is important to me. Okay, if I've gotten a little bit of success here, maybe there's something to this. Again, being able to be open. And so many people are stuck in survival mode. At the conference, Pastor Lee shared that 60% of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck. And you think that your job is secure, but is it? If you're still just being able to live paycheck to paycheck, leverage your skills to have a side hustle, to then use that to reinvest in real estate was able to lead you to this place. I think that's great.
Yeah. And it's crazy that the more money you make, you're still going to be on a paycheck to paycheck, which was the sad part.
Yes, it is.
Mindset is the first thing you got to attach to that first.
That change, that switch. Oh, I love that. Okay. So then, all right. So, cause I know people are like, okay, so what happened? What happened? You began to make that transition. Was that difficult for you?
It was, right?
What was hard for you?
I was great at my job.
Yeah.
People loved me, and it was like it was doing well. I was getting raises and promotions back to back. And so everybody was like, you're crazy. Like, it's a great job. Like, you just got a raise. I literally, because we get raises every March. And so I go on and make after I get my bonus, like whatever, I go and I quit, right? And it's hard, like, because I'm no longer going to have the steady income.
Yeah.
I'm no longer going to have the recognition of like people telling you how great you're doing, right? When you quit, right, as a woman, for any like thing, they're going to be like, why is there a gap, right? If you want to go back to corporate.
Yeah.
And so I
for
felt,
sure. Like, where you been? What are you doing? Yeah.
Yeah. And so I felt like, okay, maybe this is going to be a career stopper. Like, I'm at a point where I'm either going up, but I had to make the choice.
Yeah.
And when I did it, it was scary for a few months, right? It was hard to adapt.
Yeah.
Especially because I was like, I don't know what to do. And I was freaking out. And I'm like a big warrior.
Yeah.
And my husband was like, it's okay.
Yeah.
Like, I got this. I'm still working. And so we came up with the plan that eventually we would go to Colombia and just, that would make it better. And he's like, in doing real estate, like I created a plan of what are we going to do, what are we going to invest so that
Yeah.
we can continue. But once I started like the IVF like process, I
Yeah.
was really grateful
Mm-hmm.
that I had the opportunity to do that
Mm-hmm.
because it was tough.
Yeah.
Especially, you know, my first round was successful and then it fell.
Mm.
And then it was just, I had time to, you know, dwell on it. I
Yeah.
had
To grieve, to process. You don't have to worry about showing up to a meeting or.
Yep. And that was really helpful, and
Yeah.
just continuing to try and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so I think quitting was really scary,
Mm-hmm.
but it was probably the best thing that I did
Wow.
for myself and for
Yeah.
our family.
I love that. I love it. So fast forward, you went on your journey with IVF and you took clients as you needed to with your former skills. What happened? Like, what was the result?
Well, I have a beautiful baby boy.
Oh, baby Luke.
Yes, he's
Love it.
7 months now.
Oh, I love it.
So
That's congratulations.
I was able to be pregnant and with all the pregnancy symptoms and not
Yes.
have to work a
Yes.
9 to 5. So it was a really great decision in that sense. 3 attempts,
Yes.
but he's here and he's healthy and I am the happiest.
Oh, that's so good. So now that you're a mom and an investor, how have things changed?
They have changed a lot. So during the time of me in the infertility journey, like
Yeah.
I kind of used real estate to be like my out.
Yes.
Right? And so it was like my addiction. It was like,
Yes.
I'm just going to buy.
Yes.
And I'm just going to do. And I'm a workaholic.
Yeah.
And now that the baby's here, it's like,
Uh-oh.
that's all I want.
Yes.
Like, I just want
Yes.
this baby and
Yes.
his smiles, and I'm going to soak him in.
Yes.
And I have all this going on around me
Yeah.
that I started.
Yes.
Because- because I was like, You know, in my head, I had this movie
Yep.
of what being a mom was going to be like.
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm.
And that's nothing like it.
Yep. Nope. The movie is different.
Yeah. Like the feelings,
Yeah.
everything. Now I'm having to basically rewind
Yeah.
and stop and like think about what's really important.
Yep.
And I had started a property management business.
Yep.
That's going away
Yep.
because it no longer aligns with what I want.
Mm-hmm.
And so it has taken a lot of rethinking.
Mm-hmm.
So right now this year I'm just taking it to like basically scale back
Mm-hmm.
and really figure out what's next
Mm-hmm.
and just focus on, you know, that little smile.
I know. I love it. I love it. And this is just an example. Like, so essentially you were in your first season of just starting out, figuring out what you want to do. And then you transitioned to entrepreneurship and you had to side hustle to get to where you wanted to be. Now you're a mom and a business owner, and now you're entering into a different season. I have been through, feel like all of those seasons. Now I'm in a season of, oh shoot, my kids are about to be adults in like 2 years. Oh my gosh, you know? And then there's this like, what did I not teach them? That's the season I'm in. And I know we talked about this last year. We had lunch. We're in a like different generation from our kids, but very similar season where we want to be as available as possible. And even though we have dreams and we have things we want to achieve, our primary focus is our children. In this season, we are going to be rebuilding our life. What does that look like? And what I love about this is that we have the opportunity to decide. We can write the rules, right? We don't have to live in this box of the rules being written this way and it's click A plus B equals C. It's like, no, throw that out. Yeah. We can create whatever rules and what it looks like for us. And I love that. Looking back, I'm like, man, I'm just grateful that even though similar to you, you didn't have like all the steps laid out, that you just took one step at a time, because now you're in a place where you have options. Well, one, expound on what you said, your exit plan, like you're in the exit phase. What does that mean? And what is your plan? Just kind of the beginning of the journey. We have to bring you back later in the podcast so you could talk about how it went. But what does the exit plan mean to you in this season? And talk to me about like how you plan to figure out what this next season of your life will look like. What does that look like?
Looking back, I think that the timing of the baby is like perfect because this is where I can actually do this.
Yeah.
So the exit plan is literally just like getting any business venture or any property that takes too much of my time.
Yeah.
And selling the property, ending the business.
Yeah.
So I kind of like clean my plate,
yes.
per se.
Yes.
I decided which portfolios I want to keep, and then kind of just figure out, okay, no new stuff.
Yes.
Nothing new until
we both had this conversation.
Yes. And it's hard.
Yes.
It's hard. But I was like, nothing new until that's done.
Yeah.
And it's like, I've been tempted, and I just like close it, delete it from my phone. But the next few months, what I'm focusing on is we're leaving to Colombia for a year.
A year. Yes. That's so awesome.
Yes. So
and what are you going to do?
I'm just going to figure it out as I go.
I love it. You're just going to live your life.
Yes. I want to be able. So what I'm trying to do is learn how to be present, which is really hard because, you know, as business owner, you're always thinking.
Yes.
So I'm trying to learn how to be present, which is so hard for me.
Yeah.
And I think that Colombia is going to give me that.
Yeah.
And like, you know, it's a more laid back culture.
Yes.
I feel like the US is always go.
Yep.
And in the past, every time I wanted to slow down, I always went back home pretty much. And so that's where we're at. And I'm taking my husband and the baby, and then hopefully he'll learn Spanish.
I love that.
Yeah. So I think that I'm really going to go back, and while I'm there, do a lot of thinking, but really like intentional thinking to think what's next instead of, because what happens, like we've been hustling and we're like go and like what's next. Yeah. We don't really stop to think like, is this in alignment with like everything I want?
Wow. I love that. What I love about it is that, because I see a lot of investors, and I used to be like this too, where we get caught up in the units and we get caught up in, I don't want to sell the property. What's that process of not getting caught up in that and just like, you know what? I'm going to sell it. I'm going to take the money and I'm going to like restart. Like, explain to me how you got to that place, because that is very hard for some people.
I don't think it was intentional. I think it was the baby. It's just kind of like, I really just want to be present for him. Yeah. If the baby wasn't here, I probably would not.
Yeah.
I'll be honest. Going. Like there is no way. I probably would have continued on that like vicious cycle.
Yeah.
But he just like changed everything. And
that's good.
And so really being able to let go, because it's like we get caught up with like, oh, 100 units, right?
Yes.
And so let's say right now I have 48. I'm going to let go of pretty much half of them.
Yeah.
But I'm still going to be okay, because the number that I need to live is there.
And it's going to work for me.
Yes. And so it's like, this is enough for now.
Yep.
It's not like I'm saying goodbye.
Yeah.
Right? It's not like I'm giving up and I'm not going to continue growing eventually. But right now in this season of life, that's what I'm okay with. And then in Colombia, you can live like, you know,
a queen
with, $30,000 for a whole year.
I love that.
You can have a cook, you can have a cleaner, you can have babysitters. So
you're on the street for $30,000 in the United States.
Yeah.
Or you're living in a very like rural place.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure. I love that so much. And I think that that's just a sign of allowing your business to work for you, not the other way around. This is why we do here on Wealth Within Reach. We do this to show you a different perspective, because this is not a common perspective. There's so many things that somebody can say of prices aren't going down, so that means you have to keep the properties forever, or work on your momentum, or look about how much money you're going to miss. Like I had someone tell me that too recently, and I was like, but you can't get this time back.
Yep.
You can't get it back. It's not the same as just, I can make more money. I can't get this time back. So
yeah, I agree. I mean, the timing to sell properties is not the best.
Yeah.
We're not making the best return.
Yeah.
But it's what I need for my sanity.
Yes.
And so sometimes you got to be okay with that.
Yes.
Because it's like, you're going to make money later.
Mm-hmm.
You can always make money in real estate. It's just.
I love it. And I love semi-retirement. That's basically what you're doing.
Yep.
And semi-retirement is when you're able to like step back, go to Colombia for a year or two, and then
definitely
just, you know, experience life and then come back and work some more if you want, you know? So I love that. What would be like 2 pieces of advice if there's a woman here and they are maybe on the same journey that you were on, struggling with infertility, or even maybe they just had a baby and they're really kind of go back and forth between, should I keep working? Should I try to start this business to make a transition and then also invest in real estate?
So I would say if somebody's struggling with infertility, first of all, it's not an easy journey, right?
Yeah.
And I think it's important to find support and make a plan, like make an exit plan. Figure out infertility treatments are expensive. So if there is something that you're good at, they call it your unique advantage, right? So what are you good at? And try to find a side hustle that can be your infertility fund, your exit. It doesn't have to be your forever. You don't have to love the gig. I think that's one of the things. I didn't love doing taxes, but it was the thing that really helped me. And sometimes it sucks when you're in the moment. But being patient and being like, okay, it's not working out now. Maybe the timing's not right yet. And I didn't see that when I was in the middle, right? I was like, when people told me, well, maybe it's just the timing. I'm like, no, I don't care. Like, no. But if you're continuing to work on your, financial freedom journey and have a plan and sit down and, a year or two, you might be better off. You might be able to be a better parent, have the ability to do the treatments. Because when I initially started, I couldn't afford the treatments. So I worked my way through that. And so just find somebody. There's a lot of support groups online about infertility, and just hang in there because it's tough. It's tough. And so I'm always open to talk about infertility with anybody. And as a mother, I think we need to be okay with soaking in the moments, right? Because these babies are only going to be babies for a little bit. And being okay with stopping our career for a little bit, because it's not like we're saying goodbye. Ingrid recommended a book to me the other day. It's called The Power Pause. So I'm actually going to read it because she talks about it's okay to take a year or two. And then come back with vengeance afterwards.
And we don't hear that enough. When I talk to other women who are ambitious, they're saying it, but it's not talked about publicly enough. The struggle between ambition and family and choosing your dreams and just figuring out your time and your values at the moment. And I love how you're normalizing it is okay to do this.
We're not letting
go.
You're
still a boss.
Yeah, we're not letting go of our dreams, right? We're just taking time to focus on something now, and then we're going to come back and we're going to do it.
Exactly. I love it. This is so good. This is such a great conversation. I love it. So where can people find you, Kat?
So I'm mostly on Instagram,
okay,
kat.invest. And I do have a blog called Beyond Just Numbers.
Love it.
Where I talk about my journey and the mistakes I've made.
Yes. And follow Kat because she also, from time to time, will host some really dope retreats when she wants to. I'm going to be in one of those next retreats. I already told you and Ingrid.
Yeah, we're probably going to do a mom's and real estate retreat.
Yes, I will absolutely be there. Yeah, for sure. I love it. But thank you so much for listening to another episode of Wealth Within Reach. Be sure to like and subscribe and share this. Share this with some mom friends who needs to hear this, who needs to hear that they're not crazy. Okay. And come back next week. I will see you next time. Bye. Hey friend, have you been enjoying this podcast and you're like, okay, Erica, how can I connect with you and other of your amazing guests that are on the podcast? You can do that within the Owning It and Living It Facebook group. I have the Owning It and Living It Facebook group to help to foster community with other like-minded real estate investors. Folks are sharing advice, I'm sharing tips, and we're fostering community so we can help take our real estate investments to the next level. If you are ready to do that, I want you to join the Owning It and Living It Facebook group. You can go to the link in the bio to join today.